that was no doubt. It is 7:28 and 46 degrees outside, and I've got Chief Judge in here with me today. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So you came in today to talk to us about special duties.
I did.
So first off, what is a special duty?
Well, special duties are those jobs that the Air Force wants their members to perform just on a temporary basis, be outside their normal AFSC. And normally when you complete a special duty, you would go back. So basically it just sends you out of your AFSC for a number of years, and then you come back. And it's just temporary jobs that maybe are only at one location or require don't have a lot of career progression. So that's why they call them special duties.
Okay, so it's something that's not, like if I'm a broadcaster and I want to go do something else. Right. It's anything else that I do that's not in that? Or
no, special duties, I think one of the questions you had screened me with or whatever. Yeah. Here's some examples. You have career assistance advisors, enlisted aides, military training instructors, military training leaders, Air Force Academy military training NCOs, family support centers, linguists, debriefers, first sergeants, honor guard, postal, couriers, defense attachés, recruiters, missile facility managers, sensor operators, PME instructors.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's quite a few.
That's an extensive list. So how can I apply, or how can people apply for that?
Well, the first thing you should do is you should go on Equal Plus, which is where all special duties are listed for senior master sergeant and below. And I just went on there yesterday to see, and I picked staff sergeant, and there's about 10 or 12 listed for staff sergeants. Most of them were postal and couriers, and some MTL, MTI, military training leader, military training instructor. So what you do is you go on there, and then it'll tell you to look at this thing called a SPCAT, and that just is a special category. And all that is you click on that, and it will open up this document that lists the eligibility requirements for that particular job. So what are some of the things you have to have, and how do you apply, and those types of things. But the number one source for you, the easiest way to figure out what you want to do, is to go to Master Sergeant Spizak, who's at Building 326. He is our Career Assistance Advisor for the wing. His number is 1019. So he'll be able to help point you in the right direction. So if you're not sure what a defense attaché does, but you're interested, you can always go to him, and he can help you find the information for you.
Okay.
So.
And when can people apply? Do you just talk to him and he'll be able to tell you?
Right. Now, under normal, most special duties, you have to be at least a staff sergeant. There are some where you can apply as a senior airman, but until you have your 5 skill level and you're normally a staff sergeant, you really can't get a special duty. So that would really be the target. But there are special duty opportunities all the way up through master sergeant, really.
Wow.
So even if you're a master sergeant and you want to or a senior master sergeant, and let's say you want to be a defense attaché, those are the people that work at U.S. embassies throughout the world. You can go and apply for those all the way up through senior master sergeant, and in some cases, chief.
Okay, so that kind of covers our next point that we were going to hit on, the eligibility for
right.
it.
The eligibility, really, the rank depends on the specific special duty, like I just explained. But all special duties are going to have the same kind of criteria. You have to be a strong performer. You can't have been in any trouble, in your career. You have to have a good image. You're going to be representing, in the case of, say, a defense attaché or recruiter, you're representing your Air Force, and they want you to look good in your uniform and stuff. And all special duties require a recommendation from the commander. So your commander is going to have to say, yes, make this person a recruiter. They're the right person to sell the Air Force story, or in any of the other cases. First sergeant, very extensive. Not only do they have to have a recommendation from their commander, they have to have a recommendation from Colonel Craig, the wing commander. So there's a lot of steps, and each one is a little bit different depending on which special duty you're interested in.
Okay, so here's a pretty fun question. Why do we have special duties? What's the point? Why not just make it an AFSC?
Well, they are AFSCs, and normally your special duties will start with an 8 or a 9. So when you hear people have like, for example, a recruiter is an 8R000. So that's a good way to go look it up too. Go look at AFSCs and you can see all the 8s and some of the 9s. But these are not meant to be career skills. So let's take the example of a military training instructor. Mm-hmm. There's only one place to be stationed.
Yeah,
and
Lackland.
That would be at Lackland. So it's not meant to be a career job. It's meant to, you go there, you do your 3 or 4 years. That's always fluctuating with that particular special duty, and then go back to your AFSC. Now, most of these jobs they're not related to any other career field, so they really can't lump them in with another career field or, assign them a comm job or whatever. And one thing I did fail to mention is that some AFSCs, specific AFSCs, have special duty assignments as well. Okay. So, for example, if you're a comm troop, communications, one of the 3 Delta Zeros or 3 Delta Ones, they have things that are special duties that are like White House communications. So that would be a specific job, not really outside their career field, but it's a specific job because they're not going to send anybody there like they do with the regular assignment system.
Yeah. That's
going to be a very selective thing. So there are certain AFSCs that do have some special duties, but there's, the main thing with special duties is they don't provide some normal progression in a career, if that makes sense. So, and that's why they're kind of separate. They want you to step out and come back.
Okay, so that you can still progress in your field later on. You have that time away where you can do something special, but you have to come back so you can keep moving up.
Right.
Okay. And you mentioned there's one at the White House, so special duties aren't only overseas.
Exactly. A lot of special duties, well, they're actually all over the world. I mean, some of the overseas ones are postal, your defense attachés, the ones that work at the consulates and the embassies throughout the world. Enlisted aides. Enlisted aides are those that work with general officers, and if those general officers are stationed overseas, I have a former troop of mine who is the enlisted aide right now for General Breedlove.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's working up at Ramstein. Your couriers, those that carry those, top secret stuff, and they travel all over the world. So yes, there's some overseas, and there's also some stateside, very much like recruiters are mostly stateside, but some of those are overseas as well.
Yeah.
Very few, but most of those are stateside. Your MTLs, which are the ones that take care of tech school trainees, Air Force Academy.
I remember mine well.
You do? Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity if you want to step away from your AFSC.
Okay. And stepping away, if it's not really job training oriented or like you said, it doesn't really help you progress in your field. How does that benefit me?
Well, here's how it benefits you. The one thing a special duty will do is broaden your knowledge of the Air Force. So when you step out of your career field and you go to this special duty, if you excel there, you are showing the Air Force that you can step out of your comfort zone and excel at something else. Okay. And then you come back to your career field. You're actually a better asset to the Air Force. And special duty assignments are looked at fairly favorably as you progress through the ranks. Now, of course, all the way up through Master Sergeant, that doesn't really matter. But for Senior and Chief, it does matter. Have you stayed in the same job the whole career? Or have you progressively gained more responsibility? Have you stepped outside your AFSC and excelled at something else? But the most thing, and I've done 2 different special duties, and I think the one thing I learned the most was I learned more about our Air Force. And I think that's the most important thing as you progress through the enlisted ranks, is that you learn more about what other people are doing. For example, when I was a PME instructor, I taught Airman Leadership School. We would have students in our class that were cryptologic linguists, We had target ones that were did target analysis. We had maintenance. We had security forces. We had all these different AFSCs. And I think the one thing I learned as a tech sergeant, a young tech sergeant, staff sergeant, was, wow, I got to learn. I had no idea what a cryptologic linguist did, but I learned by being there, and it made me more rounded, I would say, as an NCO, because I could understand what other people in the Air Force were doing and how all those jobs contributed to the big mission, to the big picture.
Okay, so having a more rounded NCO or airman kind of helps as well for the Air Force. Is there something else that would benefit the Air Force from having these special duties?
Well, yes, because special duties have to be done.
Oh, yeah.
So we
kind
do
of need our
you.
mail.
And it's really important, and it was something I didn't mention earlier, but if you're in one of those AFSCs that has a CJR, which is a career job reservation, where you're not sure if you're going to get a CJR to re-enlist, and you're a first-term airman, and you're a staff sergeant, special duty is a good way to stay in. So I had quite a few people that I pushed towards special duties when I was a tech and a master, that we weren't sure if they were going to be able to stay in, and these were good airmen. And so I pushed them towards some special duty assignments because that would allow them to re-enlist, especially special duties that are chronically short. MTI is a chronically short career field. Recruiting, chronically short. They're always looking for people to do those jobs. There's nothing easy about doing a special duty. Let me make that very clear. It's like starting over. You're basically a one level.
Wow.
And you go to school, but that shows that your capacity to learn. Again, the most important thing you can gain is excelling at something outside your AFSC.
Okay, and one more thing is, a special duty is that any career field that can do it, or does it have to be a specific one?
Yeah. No. You mean as far as the person applying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for the person applying, a lot of it depends on if you're in a chronically critical career field. For example, if you're in special operations, you're probably not going to get released to do a special duty because they can't hardly keep people in that career field.
Yeah.
So yes, it is dependent on that. But here's what I tell people: no matter what you think or what you're being told by the lawyers around you, it never hurts to apply and make AFPC turn you down. Make your career field turn you down, because you never know if you'll get into that. If they'll allow you to do that, and especially if you're a strong performer and they see potential, and that's really, really important. That they see potential, and then you apply, and you can get out of there.
So it's just like the old saying: if you don't know, ask.
Yes.
So if you
Yep.
don't think you can do it, still try.
Right, but don't ask tech sergeant somebody down the hall. Not that our tech sergeants don't know what they're talking about, but if they say you'll never get released, we'll say, okay, well, I'd still like to try.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. We don't know the overall manning of the AFSCs, and some AFSCs, to be quite honest, right away they get picked up.
Wow.
Other AFSCs, it's not so easy. They have certain amount of people that they release every year for special duties. Security forces comes to mind. So they do release people, but they're not going to release everybody that applies. So, it's kind of a hit and miss thing, and a lot of it's timing.
Okay, and who was the person to contact for this again?
It would be Master Sergeant Spizak.
Okay.
And he's at 1019. He works over in our Professional Development Center, building 326.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add some of the incentives, just so that people know that there is sometimes some goodness that comes out of it. And there is goodness and when you go out and do special duties. But recruiters, very interesting enough, recruiters get a government vehicle.
Oh.
And depending on where they're stationed, they could get gym memberships because they could be out in the middle of Kansas. Where they don't have, where they don't have, bases. So, and a lot of the special duties offer special duty pay, so you get an additional amount of pay. For example, I know MTIs, get an extra $450 a month.
Wow.
And then on top of that, they get an extra clothing allowance every year. So they get their regular clothing allowance, but then they get an additional clothing allowance every year. So there are some, and they get to wear that cool hat.
Yeah.
That's definitely an incentive. But the bottom line is each one is a little bit different. First sergeants get extra pay for being first sergeants. Enlisted aides get extra pay. So there's all sorts of other incentives besides just wanting to do it. But I will tell people that the bottom line is no matter what, don't do it for the incentives. If you want to, you really have to want to be a recruiter to get do you know what I mean? To do the job well. If you're just doing it because, hey, I can get to my hometown, and hey, I'll get a car and a gym membership, and I get special duty pay because I think they get special duty pay, plus they get like pocket money to take their recruits out for lunch and stuff. But if you're doing it just for those incentives, then you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it because, hey, I would really like to go out and sell the Air Force story and tell the Air Force story and get people excited about joining the Air Force.
Make the next generation of airmen.
That's right. Make the next generation of airmen. Then you're going to be a successful recruiter, because if you're doing it for the incentives, you're not going to be successful. So I caution people to be careful, but if you're looking for a challenge and you want to challenge yourself, special duty is the way to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming out.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
you coming out for this What's Up Wednesday.
Hey, no problem. It was good to see you this morning, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Coming up now, we've got radio news and then the Eurythmics right here on AFN Incirlik the Eagle, serving America's best.